Okay, so I will show you how to make a splash animation using liquid simulation. So you can see I have my scene prepared and I have a lighting set up. We also have some background objects for the depth of field effect. And now we're gonna start working on this. So first of all, I want to select my object, press Shift S and choose cursor to select it. And then we're gonna press Shift A and add an object that will generate our liquid. And this object can be anything, so choose whatever you like. It could be plane, cube, whatever. I will select the icosphere and set subdivision number to 1. And now we want to scale this object down, just like you see right now. And I will split my screen into 2 parts, because I want this second part to be a camera view, so I can see how it will look like on the actual render. And after we scaled our icosphere, let's press Ctrl A and apply the scale to make sure we do not have any issues in the future. Alright, so I will go into the top view right now and then move my icosphere on the Y-axis, just like you see. So I want it to be behind the bottle, and I will scale it up a bit and then apply the scale one more time. And now I will select my bottle here, press F3 and choose Quick Liquid here. So what we have right now is our liquid domain. Basically this is the box where our liquid simulation will be taking place. And we want to scale it down, but we need to do it in edit mode, so let's press Tab A to select everything and let's scale it down just like you see right now. I will move it up right now and we can also adjust the size a bit. So we want the icosphere to be inside of this box, otherwise the liquid simulation is not going to work properly. The size of this liquid domain can be anything you want, but remember that you need enough space for water to move freely there. And right now I will adjust the size a bit and move the front face closer to the camera. Alright, so this should work, and now we can select our bottle here, go to physics properties, and you can see it already has a fluid simulation enabled. And now you need to change the fluid type from flow to the effect. And this means that our water simulation will now recognize this bottle as a solid object. And now let's select our icosphere, go into physics properties, click on fluid and then change the type to flow. We need to change the flow type to liquid. Flow behavior should be set to inflow, and this means that our icosphere will now generate our liquid. And if I press spacebar right now, you can see it generates our water, and I will expand the frames up to 200 and you can see our liquid domain slowly fills up. And the first thing is you can actually see how our liquid reacts to our liquid domain right now. And if you do not like the result, you can expand this liquid domain in the edit mode. Or you can go to the border collision properties, so this one allows you to disable the borders of your liquid domain. And let's say I want to uncheck the bottom borders of our liquid domain. And you can see our liquid does not react to the bottom part of this liquid domain anymore. So keep this in mind, and you can adjust the borders in the edit mode, or you can adjust them with these border collision settings. Alright, so right now our fluid simulation is pretty simple, but you need to know that Blender likes everything to be baked. And right now we are going to work on this, so let's scroll down to the Cache tab. And here you need to change the type to modular and check is resumable. And now we have more opportunities while working with the liquid simulation. And I scroll up right now, you can see we have 2 additional buttons. The first one is Bake Data, and if I scroll down you can see we also have a Bake Mesh option. And once we press these buttons, we are not going to be able to do anything within Blender, so we will need to wait until the bake process is completed. And you can also select how many frames you want to bake. However, you should not do it in your timeline. I will set the end frame to 50, and what it means is our whole animation ends at the frame 50. But to choose how many frames you want to bake, you need to go to liquid domain, go down to cache, after that select the folder where you want to save your baked data, and I will set the end frame to something like 20. And now I will press Bake Data button here and wait until it's done, and I will also go down and press our Bake Mesh button. And now if I press spacebar, you can see our liquid simulation ends after frame 20, but our whole animation lasts up to frame 50, so keep that in mind. And another thing that you may notice is that our bottle does not affect the water right now, so we can quickly fix this as well. Let's select our bottle and go to the physics properties. Here you can see the surface thickness option, and I recommend you to set the number between 0 and 1. I'll set it to 1, and in our case it will work just fine. And now, since we have some adjustments, we will need to rebake our data, and you will need to rebake it every time you make changes. So select our liquid domain, press free data, and after that press bake data. And don't forget to bake mesh as well. And now if I play our animation, you can see our water reacts to the bottle. However, there is a big gap here. We can also tweak this, so let's select our bottle, go to surface thickness and set the number to something like 0.5. So this will make our gap look smaller, and we can actually set the inflow direction right now. So let's select our icosphere, go to the physics properties, and now we want to know the direction in which our water should be going. For that, press G and then try different axes. For me it goes into negative y-axis, you can see that in the top. And now I will check the initial velocity and I'll set the y-axis to something like -5. And to see if it works correctly, let's go to the liquid domain, bake our data and then bake our mesh. And you can see our liquid collides with the bottle right now, everything looks nice, and I can see that we have more liquid on the left side of the bottle, and we can tweak this. First off, we can either move our icosphere to the right, or we can change the initial velocity for the x-axis. So the initial velocity for x-axis is going to be 2, and for y I'll set it to -6, and let's rebake the data. And once everything is done, let's hit the space bar. You can see we have completely missed this thing, so let's adjust the x-axis a bit more. So I will set the initial velocity of the x-axis to something like 0.5, and I think it will work out fine. Rebake everything, and now if I hit space bar, you can see we have a perfect splash animation here. And now we should work on the liquid quality, because you can see this thing here does not look like water or any other liquid at all. And to work on this, you need to select your liquid domain, and you can see resolution divisions option here. If this number is small, like 32 right now, your data is going to be baked faster. At the same time, you will see a really poor quality of your liquid. So in case you want to see how your liquid acts but you are not going for the final render, you can put this number at 128, and when you're going for the final render, it is better to have more samples, so 256 should work fine. And again, you do not need to forget about your PC's capabilities, because if you're going to put a really big number here and you do not have that powerful PC, the baking process can either take a lot of time or Blender can crash. And just to demonstrate, I'll set this number to 128, I'll press bake data, and you can see the baking process now takes much more time. And as I said, you want to set this number to 256 for the final render. In the mesh settings, you can set the up-res factor to 3. And in the cache, do not forget to set the end frame for your bake. Now we want to control the amount of liquid that we want to see in our scene, so I'll set it back to 32, bake everything. When I play this animation, you can see that our icosphere generates liquid constantly. We do not want our scene to be full of water, so we are going to work on this. Now I need to hit the free data button here, select our icosphere, and we are going to animate the use flow option here. Now you need to go back to the frame 1 on your timeline. After that, click the button next to use flow option. You can see we have inserted the keyframe here for our use flow. Now go to the frame 4 or 5, disable the use flow and click the icon one more time. Now our icosphere will generate liquid up to frame 4, after that it will stop doing that, and oftentimes you want to test and see at what frame you want to disable the use flow option, since it is going to work differently for many projects, and in your case you may want to stop it at frame 5 or 6, so you need to test that and see what works the best for you. Now we want to see how this splash effect looks, so I'll play the animation, and I really think that it is not enough, so I will expand the use flow option up to frame 6, so you can just select it, press G and then X to drag it up to frame 6. Now we need to rebake everything and let's see how it looks. I think it looks nice, and now we will prepare the folder to save the animation. So go to the output properties, and here in the output section you can select the folder to save your animation. And one important thing is I advise you to render your animation as a PNG file, because let's say you want to render it as a FFmpeg video format. If something goes wrong or Blender crashes, for example, you will not be able to continue rendering the animation. But if you choose PNG file format and let's say Blender crashes at frame 23, you can later continue rendering your animation starting from that frame. So in my timeline I'll just set the start frame to 23, and then you can just render your animation like nothing happened, and you will still have your image sequence saved in your folder that you have selected. Alright, so we are almost done, so now I will show you how to slow down your liquid simulations. I will get back to my liquid domain and I will free data, and let's expand the end frame to 50. And now at the top here you can see a time scale. Here you can speed up or slow down your animation. And let's say I want the animation to be 50% slower. So here I'll set the number to 0.5, and essentially we are getting the animation that is 50% slower than it was. And again we need to bake data and bake mesh, and you can see that we have animation that goes slower than it was before, and I think we can actually slow it down a bit more. So I'll set the time scale to 0.2, and now we are getting 20% of the original speed. Again I will bake everything, and you can see in this case everything is slower and we are getting much less liquid. So now you know how to slow down your liquid animation if you need it, and I'll set the number back to 1. And with this we have everything prepared. The only thing that is left for you is to set the resolution divisions to 256, and after that you can check how it looks and render the animation. I hope you found this video helpful, and if you enjoyed watching it, I'll appreciate if you can subscribe, leave a comment or share it with your friends, because it will help my channel grow. Also, if you want to support the channel, you can buy scenes from my other videos, the link is going to be in the description. Appreciate you guys, and I see you next time.